Well, let's get into it. All right. Thanks, Alberto, for being here. Alberto Ortiz with Zoomin Groomin. Is it Zoomin Groomin Denver, Highlands Ranch? How do you distinguish?
Zoomin Groomin, and then my wife and I own Zoomin Groomin Highlands Ranch.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. There's a lot of houses in Highlands Ranch that have pets, so it's a good spot. Why don't you give us the elevator pitch of kind of like what you guys do, your services, and how you go about doing that?
Yeah. So again, Zoomin Groomin, we're a premium mobile pet spa. We go directly to your home, and instead of the pets having to be in cages the entire day or working with anxious dogs, then the state-of-the-art vans pulls directly into your driveway. We have again, these vans are amazing. Like it could be 20 degrees in Colorado and it could be 80 degrees the next day, but inside the van it's always 70 degrees, so it's comfortable for the pets, comfortable for our groomers. They have water, power, like all inclusive. And then we provide all kind of services from hair cutting, bath, nail trims. It's a spa day. Yeah, that's what we call it. So.
Do you take human clients? That sounds nice. I kind of want to climb in there and get a bath.
When the pets go into the homes and they are smelling amazing, they look amazing. Some of the clients are like, "Can I just like get a little bit of the blueberry facial?" They're amazing. So
that's awesome. I want to ask you so many questions about the business, but I have some questions about you, and I want to figure out sort of like how you got from, because you grew up in Puerto Rico.
I did,
and I want to find out how you got here to the place where you're at now.
Are we doing this in Spanish or no?
Spanish? I wish, man. I wish I could speak that good of Spanish. I did grow up in Texas, so I know a little bit, but not much. So where in Puerto Rico did you grow up? Tell me about childhood growing up there.
So all over Puerto Rico, all over the island. So I would say I am a breed between U.S. and Spain. So my mom is from Spain. My dad is from Puerto Rico. And I grew up every summer. We used to go the entire summer to Spain.
Oh, cool.
So I have a lot of culture from Spain. But then my dad, again, I grew up watching American television. And so it really, those two are my culture, my backgrounds.
Okay. So all over Puerto Rico. Why would you go back in the summer? Just because visit your family?
Yeah, visiting the family. So we would finish school and then go to June and July and spend the entire summer in Spain, which was, now looking back, you're like, man, we were spoiled. It was an amazing
you didn't realize how lucky you were.
But yeah, it was just great, and spending time with family, friends.
Cool. Do you have like a dual citizenship?
No, unfortunately not.
Okay.
So
that's cool though. And your dad was a doctor?
He was a doctor.
What kind of medicine did he practice?
Pediatrician.
Okay.
So with kids.
Cool. And you said you wanted to follow in his footsteps, but ultimately decided not to?
Yeah. So my entire life, again, when you kind of always want to emulate what your parents do. And my entire life, I always want to be a doctor and work with kids. Yeah. I actually, when I was in college, I started getting a bachelor degree in medicine. And at that point, I discovered, well, this is going to take me like 10, 15 more years, maybe to get a job. And then I switched careers, and I got a bachelor's in child psychology.
Okay.
So I have
a degree in psychology too.
Oh, really?
That I don't use. Yeah.
I would say I use it every day.
Yeah, that's true.
But I don't get paid for it. Every day. True. So
that's true. And then, so you grew up playing tennis as well.
I did.
Okay, so you went pro at some point?
I did professional tennis when it started when I was probably in 6th grade.
Okay.
All through college, and then unfortunately the last year in college I got injured.
Okay.
And I stopped playing tennis. Then I picked up golf like many people.
Sure.
And then as an adult I started playing tennis again. So.
Yeah, okay, so you do play still now?
Yeah.
Yeah, gotten into pickleball at all?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not. There's actually some new pickleball courts they open here in Highlands Ranch. So
it's fun. It's fun. It's a little easier on the. I do play a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
We have a client. We shoot a lot of pickleball content, and I just ended up playing with some of like the pros, and just like got really into it and got fun. It's really fun. So it's more accessible than tennis.
My childhood hero was always Agassi, Andre Agassi, and he is now with his wife opening pickleball courts everywhere. So
it's a natural transition for a lot of tennis people.
Less moving, less knees hurting.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's fun too. And I don't think I've ever played tennis in my entire life, maybe once or twice, but I just started playing pickleball. It's like giant ping pong. I've always loved ping pong. So that's
nice.
kind of, and I play with all these old people. They think I'm like the fastest guy in the world, you know? So
that's awesome.
It is pretty fun. So went to college in Puerto Rico, got a degree in child psychology. And then how did you end up in the States? Did you come directly to Colorado?
Yeah, so I moved to Florida. I basically went after my ex-wife who had moved to Florida. And you know what? I fully bilingual when I was in college and growing up. And I'm like, this is going to be great. I'm going to be able to get a job and find a new career. And I spent the entire summer in Florida trying to find a job. And luckily enough, I actually, on 9/11, I interviewed with Radio Shack, back if you remember that company. Which I love going to Radio Shack when I was a kid and started my career there. I always disliked retail because I always had that negative connotation of like selling and people like that negative piece. But really, through the psychology background, I just found it fun. People came in with questions, and I asked them questions, and I found solutions.
People need to buy things.
Yeah.
And Radio Shack has solutions to their problems, right? And so you can fix their problem. So
it was a lot of fun. Again, I started as a sales associate, moved up as a store manager, district manager. This is all in Central Florida.
Okay.
So, and that's really
we're talking like mid 2000s, early 2000s.
2011, and then I was there for 10 years with Radio Shack.
Okay.
So, and that was the beginning of my business career.
Were you with Radio Shack when they essentially went out of business?
I went from the beginning when they started changing their name to the Shack, and it was interesting seeing the culture change. And to me,
how did it change?
Well, just losing the identity, right? When you used to go to Radio Shack and buy any parts, if you needed anything, you went to Radio Shack, and then they transitioned into cell phones. And then it's like, again, what are we as a company? But the leadership, the culture, and again, I loved it. It was an amazing, for me, stepping stone from learning sales and management and the people. I still have amazing relationships from Radio Shack.
That's cool.
Then
sounds like you learned a lot about business there.
Amazing. And then at that point, it was like, okay, I saw the writing in the wall, like you said, regarding what's next. And I'm like, where do I go? And one of my friends at that point said, well, how about taxes? And I was like, no, like I that's the worst thing in the world, taxes. Everybody hates taxes. But it actually was a great transition from a recession industry that I saw the end of that company. And then, well, I can find something that everybody needs every single year. So.
Right. Yeah, no shortage of potential clients.
Oh, no, every year there's more.
And I don't think taxes are going anywhere.
Nope.
And tax code doesn't get easier.
Every year it gets more and more complicated.
Yeah, there's a new wrinkle every year, it seems. So, yeah, I used to do my own taxes, and then it got so complicated with kids and multiple businesses, and I was like, nope, can't do it anymore. Got to outsource this. It's so complicated now. So, you guys are worth the money for sure. So, then how did you end up in Colorado?
Yeah, so when I started with H&R Block and had a national position and really able to explore living from Puerto Rico, living in Florida, I thought of Colorado as there's snow 365 days a year.
It's just always white.
And all of a sudden, the group here was asking for my help for what I was doing, and I just fell in love with Colorado.
So you came up here for a work trip to train or something, and then you ended up just falling in love with it?
I actually met my wife at H&R Block, and it was like...
You weren't her manager, were you?
I was not. But it was funny because I think it was January, the first time I came. I think I came in with sweaters and ready for Colorado, and it was like 60 degrees.
Okay,
and I'm like, I can be in flip flops. Just the mountains, the Midwest culture.
It's the fresh air for me.
Oh, really?
Just like stepping outside and just like smelling the fresh air. You're like, oh, it smells
I love waking up and just seeing the mountains. And again, to me, hills were mountains in Puerto Rico and Florida. That's amazing. But the people, everything. Just I really love this area.
Yeah, me too, man. It's hard to get away from. That's why we ended up moving back. So I feel you. So awesome. So then walk me through. So you guys started in February 2023. So just a little over a year ago.
With Zoomin Groomin.
With Zoomin Groomin, yeah. So what initiated this process? It sounded like you guys got a dog and had a hard time and kind of saw an opportunity there, right?
Experienced. So yeah, we had a golden doodle that we had.
What's your golden doodle's name?
Rosita.
Oh, Rosita. Okay.
So we brought Rosita into our family. I think it was 2022. And the person that we got it from said two things. They said, you need to find a vet. And I'm like, check. And then you need to find a groomer. Yeah. And this puppy is like weeks old. And I'm like, why do I need a groomer right now? So I started calling groomers all over Colorado, all over Highlands Ranch. And either I didn't get a call back. I still probably haven't got a call back from many groomers.
I'm still waiting on a call
or
back.
They weren't taking clients. And
they just weren't taking
No, they were like, you know what? We're not taking new clients.
That's crazy.
And again, in
Do
Colorado,
they not know how business works?
and I was frustrated. To me, it's like, man, it's like, we just got this puppy. We're so excited. Our girls were super excited about the puppy. And my wife turned to me and she says, you know what? This is a great business opportunity. So we've always been in franchising, but we've never owned our own business.
Yeah.
So this was a great opportunity for us to say, you know what? Let's explore. Let's work hard for our business to build equity for our family and our girls and our future. And you know what? Who doesn't want to work with dogs?
Yeah.
It's the most fun. Sure. My wife works in HR. I do taxes for our full-time job. And then we get to work with puppies and groomers and clients every day. So
that's fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. So how did you find out about Zoomin Groomin?
So we started researching at that point, and then we contacted a lot of companies. We fell in love with the name, like it's Zoomin Groomin.
It's good. The branding is so good too.
The vans are beautiful, blue, and one of the things that we fell in love is the culture of the company.
Okay.
They have a groomer first culture, and that to us was important because our groomers are part of our family. They come into our home. We really wanted to build something and serve the community better. So that part, we fell in love. The branding we love, and then just the business concept.
Yeah.
It was a pretty
It just makes so much sense.
Yeah.
It's just like, why haven't we thought about this? Why isn't every groomer doing this, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think part of why and what we've learned so far is groomers want to start their own business, right? But they are groomers,
right?
They're not
entrepreneurs,
and I don't groom.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot about dogs since last year. Yeah. But really what our job is to really have the business, and we knew that we wanted to start something, but we didn't want to like start it from scratch, like inventing everything. And we loved that about the franchise. Yeah. It's like they have a system. How do you find groomers? How do you get
starting from zero?
Yeah,
is so hard.
Oh.
I mean, you have to come up with a name, and you got to come up with branding and a website, and then you got like figuring it all out on your own. So having someone hold your hand and give you. You're starting your business out on third base, you know what I mean? With a good franchise, you're starting on third base. And then from there, it's like, all right, we just got to get home now. Like we can figure this out. And they're going to hold your hand all the way to home plate, you know?
It's how to make the wheel spin faster versus how do I make the wheel?
Yeah.
I didn't want to reinvent the wheel. I'm like, just give me the wheel and let me make it spin faster.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. The van was like something that, so how long, I want to ask you, how long did it take from you guys? Did you guys reach out to them? And then from how long did that process take? Was there a vetting process?
Yeah. So we had reached out to a couple companies, and then Zoomin Groomin was like our number one for all those factors. We started in November of 2022. We probably about 30 days of talking to franchisees. The company have been a fairly new company, and it's a fairly new industry because most folks take the dogs somewhere to get groomed. So that convenience factor, and we live in that world now where, again, we bring our food home or the groceries home.
Everything kind of comes to us.
Yeah, we like that convenience.
I got home from the gym this morning and there was groceries on the front door. I was like, oh, that's kind of nice.
Yeah, it's like, well, we live busy world. So you got 3 kids and everything else. So so we started in November 2022. And then by December, we had talked to franchisees. We have met.
So you started November 22 and launched in February 20. So it was like 4 or 5 months.
Yep.
Oh, that's fast.
Yeah. We signed our agreements in December. We went through their training in January. And then again, they help with everything. They help source the van and how to get it the spa inside. So
were you working full time through that process? So that was probably a crazy 4 or 5 months there.
December, kids, December. But we went to training. But the same thing. It's more of here's what the system is versus living the crazy life and then reinventing everything. So that we like that part. And then finding groomers, they helped with all that part. And mid-February is when we launched. Cool. And we had hopes of growing. We're like, oh, maybe by 2024 we'll expand to 2 vans. Maybe by 2025 we'll go to 3 vans.
Yeah.
And again,
you imagine like a kind of a slow, steady growth.
Yeah. We had kind of like aspirations of like, you know what, by year 3 we'll probably have 3 vans serving Highlands Ranch and growing.
Yeah.
We had also became the master franchise in Colorado, and maybe by year 3 we'll bring another franchise. But 1 month in, just like it was like the floodgates open. We were saying yes instead of clients. Again, do you take new clients? And we're like, yes.
Yeah.
Like we had an amazing groomer that we found that has 10 years of experience. She used to own her own salon, her own mobile grooming. And just like, I don't want to own the business. I just want to groom dogs. I just want to make them happy.
Those are 2 different worlds, 2 different experiences. Yeah.
It's not everybody is cut out, right, to manage a business. And so yeah, after March, we opened February 2023. By March, we hired our second groomer.
Okay.
By May, we were operating 7 days a week. And at that point, we were already booked out 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
So 3 months in, we're like, now we're saying no to clients because we're booked out.
Yeah.
And at that point, my wife said, you know what, we need to expand. And
I like your wife.
I know. She is boss lady.
I love it.
She is boss lady. Yeah. I am the high paid intern. So
yeah. I like that. That's good. That's amazing. So tell me a little bit. I want to talk about the vans, because that is definitely the first thing I noticed. Like probably right when you guys started, it had to be within a month or 2. I was walking to get the mail after, and you guys were grooming someone just down the street, like my neighbor, 2 or 3 houses down. I think he has a doodle. And I was like, I walked around the van. I swear, I walked around. I was like, this thing is nice. How does this work? I could hear like something going on in there. And I kind of wanted to like open the door and like find out what is going on.
The groomers get knocked all the time. They're like, is someone in there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so the franchise helped you guys get the van going and started, like, and then like, how did they put everything that you need in there logistically?
Yeah. So, and I think that was kind of like a question. It's like, do we have to find a van? Do we have to call dealerships? Do we have to, I don't even know, how do we outfit this? Yeah. They did everything. So we started, and we're like, they gave you options of what kind of vans do you want, right? So is it a Dodge or is it a Ford?
Okay.
So we have options of preferences, and then what kind of outfitting. So they basically gut everything inside. They make a salon inside of the van, and again, it has the water, power.
Yeah. How big is a water tank in that thing?
65 gallons.
Okay.
So basically, they're all day long. They can be
that's enough for a whole day.
Yep.
And then the groomers go back. Where's home base at?
So we operate from our home.
Okay, so they can go back to your house, dump it, and then
every morning basically, and everything is organic. So the shampoo is organic. Obviously the water, everything that we use basically can be drained down
in a regular drain.
Yep. Cool. And then it's healthy for which we also wanted, because in Colorado we're outdoors. We like our states, and we knew that was going to be important.
It's a premium
for clients.
service already. Right. So people are willing to pay a few extra dollars for the organic shampoos. People love their dogs. They spend that is like, I saw during a recession, it's like one of the few areas that people don't skimp on is their dog. They still splurge on their dog, even if they don't have, they'll skimp on their own food, but they're still going to buy the nice food for their dogs.
We live it. With Rosita, she gets her bark box and she gets delivered, and she gets her toys and her treats. Again, everything, right? Yeah. They are part of our family.
Yeah.
And then again, you wouldn't put your kid in a cage for 6 hours, or it is a spa salon where it's avoiding the anxious piece. They get everything, and then it's like they're in their comfort, right? So your neighbor, we pull to their driveway. We pick up the dog from the entrance. We bring them into our spa.
Does the owner have to be home? They don't.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah, we have some clients that we've been doing them for over a year. That again, they love our groomers. They trust our business.
Yeah.
And they're like, we have the code or the doggy door, and then we grab their dog. We go in there, we put the dog back inside, and then again we bill everything virtually. So it's very convenient from that standpoint.
Yeah, that would be very attractive. I don't have a dog, but if I did and it needed to be groomed, that would be very attractive. Just the convenience of just scheduling it. And are most people just like on a subscription model? Like, tell me about the services a little bit. What do you guys, like, how do y'all structure that?
So it's really based on each dog's, right? So it's most dogs, like in doodles, are about 50% of our business because they need maintenance again regularly. Yeah. So typically either 4 to 8 weeks, we are at the client's house and then we bathe them, we do them haircuts, they brush, we do all the nails. Okay. So all of our services include nail trimming, ear cleaning, teeth, ear, and then nail trimming. Okay. It comes included no charge with all of our services. Okay. And then depending on the dog, again, if it's a lab, then it's probably going to be a wash and then a brush. Many clients in Colorado have dogs that shed a lot, especially nowadays.
You do any Bernese Mountain Dogs?
We do.
Oh my gosh.
We do
they
anywhere.
Fit in the van?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and that's the cool thing with these are state-of-the-art vans because in the van we can do a toy poodle that is 5 pounds. Mm-hmm. Our largest dog that we've done is 180 pounds.
So like what is that? 100? That's a horse. That's not even a dog.
It's a mini horse.
Yeah. What kind of dog is 180? Great Dane?
Well, Great Danes. We've had some huge golden doodles. Okay. That are immense.
I know they got that pig.
But the cool thing is when the dog goes into the spa, into the van, there is a hydraulic table. So then again, the groomer is not picking up the dog. Wow. Or if it's a senior dog, a senior pup, that we do a lot of senior pups.
They can just step on that.
Yeah. They step in and then they move them up and then they actually walk directly from the table into the tub. So that way it's safe for the groomer, safe for the pup. That's why we do a lot of senior pups as well. Okay. Especially if you have a 100-pound dog. Yeah. Again, it's going to be impossible for
their
any
knees
groomer.
and hips are shot already. Yeah. You're not going to get them to jump, and you don't want the groomer picking them all up. So there's probably some dogs they literally can't pick up.
Yeah. Well, if it's 180 pounds, they definitely
So this thing is super state of the art. Can I ask what it costs to rig an outfit and like from start to finish?
So for us, the franchise was around 45. So that was kind of like the starting points. Okay. That gives you all the systems, all the support, all the benefits.
Branding.
Yeah. They do all the marketing for us.
They handle your website.
Yep. Okay. SEO, social media. Again, for the most part,
That's
hands
not
off.
Bad, yeah.
And then everything else we basically finance. So all in, we pretty much around between 135 and 150. Okay. That's for the van, for the outfitting, the franchise fee. And
so
then
the van's something ballpark somewhere like 90 to 100.
Typically with outfitting and the van, it's under 100. Okay. And then we just pay like a regular car payment. Yeah. On a monthly payment. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And so it was outfitted here by a company in Colorado. They rigged it up for you and did the wrap and stuff.
So yeah. So our first one was done in Texas. And then as we started growing, then we wanted something local, right? And we wanted to support more local companies in Colorado. We found this amazing company that's approved vendor now by the company. Okay. And that, because especially in Colorado, folks are in the mountains and they're, again, months without being connected. Yeah. So how can we be, and so our newer vans are completely battery operated. So they don't have a generator. They have solar power. So as they're driving from home to home, they're recharging. Again, when we say state-of-the-art vans, like our pups and our groomers are in an amazing spa salon.
You got Starlink in that thing?
I know, right?
That's very impressive. That's cool. So was the startup cost, was that pretty much what you guys had anticipated? Is that what they told you? Was it more or less?
It was pretty much what was in the franchise disclosure documents. Okay. The overall, I would say, is probably less than what I anticipated. I expected to pay more for the van or more for, like, especially when you see the van, these are like, wow, these are state-of-the-art vans. Yeah. Like if I were to build this or
I would have
source
guessed
it.
120, 130. So to find out they're 100 or under is impressive. Yeah.
And I think that's part of the benefit of the franchise. Right? They have the systems, they have the economy of scale. Yep. So they help you with everything, and it's been wonderful.
Cool.
So
that's great. And the franchise, the people who run like corporate good culture. It sounds like.
Yes.
Like you were impressed by their culture.
Yeah, one of the things that we loved was a couple of stories. Like one is one of the core values that they have is they find a way to say yes. So as you're learning, especially a newer company, when we started a year and a half ago, we were like the 20th franchisee, maybe in the teens. I think they just celebrated last month their 100th franchise, and it's growing insane everywhere, and especially in Colorado, but across the U.S. So we love the part of like they have biweekly calls. They kind of share what's working, but they also listen. And last year, for example, they do an annual convention in Virginia. And the franchisees got together, and it's not like top down, right? When other corporations is like you go to a convention, it's like rah rah rah, and listen just to us.
The C-suite's up there talking.
Yeah, this was completely different, and my wife and I loved that. And it was like, hey, here's what we can do differently on the vans, and here's tweaks, and then the marketing.
There's so much value in going to those little things and just like talking to other people. Like, hey, what are you guys doing that's working? Hey, that really worked for you. That's a great idea. We'll implement some of that, make it our own. Like, that's invaluable stuff.
And to your point, not only when you're in the franchise, if you're doing it on your own, you're on your own. Like we can call each other. Last night we met with another franchisee who's starting, and they're like, "Well, what are you doing? What am I doing?" And that way they can speed up their learning.
Yeah.
So that way, instead of for us, we had a pretty quick growth, but they can even learn from our mistakes, and we can learn from others across the nation.
How do you guys draw boundaries for areas?
So it's by zip code and by population.
Okay.
So
you get a certain number of houses.
Yeah. So it's 130,000 average in population. And then typically in Colorado, about 70% of households have dogs. You'll be there soon.
Yeah.
And then I know someone that can help. And then you can basically all the businesses, all those households, then it's how do you basically use the system to serve those dogs? So.
Yeah. That's great. And can you tell me about like the price points? How do you guys structure that? What does it cost to get my doodle washed and cleaned and spa med day?
So every franchise controls their own pricing, right? So the franchisor gives you a guideline.
They have to help you out a little bit
on how do you price it. So all of our pricing is based on weight and coat condition. So if a toy poodle who basically doesn't have double coats or, again, 5 pounds will be a different pricing that 80, 100 pound mountain.
Well, it's just going to take a lot less time, right?
And I think that's part of it, right? So
less shampoo.
Yeah. Less water.
Less water, yeah.
But it's all about time. And then, again, so based on weight and coat condition, typically anywhere from kind of like starting around 100 and then, again, depending on larger dogs as well.
Okay. So you're saying it starts around 100 for the smaller ones and then goes up from there. Okay.
For, again, the whole package. So basically, again, wash, bath, haircut, again, all the spas.
And I think I kind of, I'm not sure if you answered this, but do they sign up for like a monthly thing, or is they just contact you whenever it's needed? How does that work?
It's basically by appointments.
Okay.
So
whenever their dog needs a wash, they just reach out.
Yeah.
You don't offer any sort of like, hey, we'll put you on the schedule every 6 weeks.
Most clients are on the schedule. Okay. So it's like, again, doodles are typically on a 6 to 8 week schedule. Okay. And then when we do their spa, then at that point they're paying for that service. Okay. So they pay afterwards for their pup spa.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. That's great. And then I want to shift gears just a little bit. I imagine you've only been doing this for a little over a year, but you have to have a good funny story for us.
A funny story.
Yeah. I mean, dealing with dogs is, pretty comical sometimes, and trying to wash them, I imagine there's probably some comedy in there. Or just a good story. You guys just do dogs?
Dogs and cats.
Cats, okay. Yeah. Washing cats is a different
I would
experience.
say when we started, obviously you think of dogs, and I'm like, why would you wash a cat? Yeah. And
I've seen some smelly cats.
One, they get matted, and they're very complicated to wash. So there's all these like hair. Again, there's so many tools that our groomers use for cats. Funny story. That's a great question.
We can come back to it if you want.
Yeah. To me, there's so many. I love the transformation pictures.
Okay.
The before.
The groomers do that with every dog.
Yeah. So every client gets a grooming report.
Yeah.
So they have like a before and after, kind of like what they did.
What you need is a way to capture the smell before and after, and you can deliver that to them. Like, here's what your dog smelled like before.
So many clients that go like, "Can we get extra of the blueberries facial?" That blueberry facial is like amazing.
Yeah.
Like when our dog gets groomed,
Yeah.
it's like, can we put her in the schedule? And then it's like you just want to hug there. And
that's
it's amazing.
like, all right, you can sleep in the bed tonight.
Yeah. Oh,
Get in here.
It's super nice.
That's
but
great.
yeah, I love the before and afters. Those transformation pictures are amazing. It's like saying like, there's a couple clients that we love. There's this client that she has a rescue pug, and then her tongue is like on the side all the time. And every time we groom her, our groomers are like, they put it in the chat and like, oh my gosh, we're doing this, and they fight over her. It's like, who's gonna do her? But it's working with pups every day. It's like, it's so much fun.
It sounds like a good gig.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I have a friend in DC. He lives in DC, who's a dog runner, and he always talks about that. Like, that's his whole job, is like, he just goes, picks up dogs and takes them for runs every day. And he's got a bunch of runners, like college kids, who will go and works for him, but he loves working with dogs every day. He always talks about how amazing that is.
He needs to partner with the Zoomin Groomin in Washington DC.
Yeah.
So
maybe so.
Get a run, get a little sweat, and afterwards, little spa day.
Yeah. Maybe I'll mention that to him. That's good. And so you mentioned a minute ago, but I want to. So you are like a regional lead. Is that for all of Colorado? And what are you doing with that? Are you trying to add franchises to Colorado?
So when we bought into the franchise, we had also an opportunity to become master franchise for Colorado. Okay. So we also acquired 20 territories. Wow. So every franchise is a territory, again, 130,000 population. But we could either open them ourselves, which is not our goal, right. Or we can find people that want to open their own franchise. So same thing. Our goal was maybe in a couple years we would expand and people will start opening. In less than a year, we have awarded over 7 franchises in Colorado. Nice. So we have opened Littleton.
What areas?
So Littleton, DTC Centennial just opened 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Parker and Castle Pines, they are expanding their business. They just got their second van in 2 months. So they beat our record. Fort Collins, nice. They're opening and they serve all that market. And then East Boulder is opening this summer.
Okay.
So nice. Again,
still a lot of opportunities though.
Oh yeah, there's prime markets. So we just had an event in Washington Park with Furry Scurry. So it's a Dumb Friends League event, over 1,000 dogs this past weekend. So we were part of that event, and oh my gosh, there's like so many dogs everywhere. Again, Boulder, Washington Park, Denver. There's prime markets available. So yeah, like we had the need and found the opportunity. So you don't need to be in the business. Yeah. You basically work on the business, which is something that we loved. So
yeah, that's interesting. That's attractive. As an entrepreneur, I like that idea.
Well, and I think part of like what we truly enjoy is like we lived it, right? We've been in the business, managing a very successful franchise with 3 vans, growing one of the top franchises in the US. So when franchisees open in Colorado, not only they have that national support like we had, but they also have us. Yeah. So hey, we meet and we kind of work as a team of what's working, what's not working.
We do events together as well.
Yeah. And it's fun, right? So we have a group chat. It's like, hey, how do you price this dog? Or how do you handle this situation? Or how do I start? How do I start marketing? Yeah. And so we kind of really hold their hand and then help them be successful.
What do you guys do for marketing? What's worked really well for you?
Facebook.
What hasn't worked? I guess too.
You just put out there and we groom dogs. Yeah. But Facebook, again, working with the chamber, really partnering with different organizations. So retirement homes, there's retirement homes where folks, again, their dogs are their kids now, right? Yeah. And how do we get in and we can park our vans and do spa days all day long. But Facebook and Google search have been, again, the franchise helps set up. Cool. And again, you just put beautiful pup pictures afterwards, and then people are like, how do I do that?
Yeah, kind of sells itself.
Yeah, but it's really talking about the advantage, right? It's like, again, we don't kennel. Again, there's no cages, stress-free. We say it's like they get an hour and a half of like loving. Yeah. And the dogs love it, and then the humans love it because you don't have that stress. We had a Weimaraner. I disliked taking her to the groom. Like it was like I had a wash and she had a wash. And it was like every time my wife was like, okay, time to groom the pup. And I was like, oh, like it just.
You gotta load them in a car, drive over there.
And the car smells like dog. And it was an event.
Not an enjoyable experience for me.
It was an event.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I
or
wish.
If you drop them off before work, then they're, like you said, they're in a kennel the whole time, which isn't optimal. That's not what you want either.
Yeah, and the pup feels it, the human. We did an event in Sterling Ranch 2 weeks ago, and they're like, yeah, we have to drive to Littleton, leave them in a cage for several hours. My dog hates me every time I do this. Like my dog is like, where are you taking me? And now it's like, you come to me. It's like the dog is in an environment that they're familiar with. They have an amazing time. Like the dogs now.
Sounds like you have groomers for a long time too. Like you don't have a lot of turnover, so they're getting the same groomer and they're getting more and more familiar with them every time.
Yeah, and because it is one-on-one and not in a salon, the groomers, they get paid really well. Yeah. They love that environment. They get tipped really well by their clients, which is amazing. And because it is stress-free for the dog, it is also makes the grooming better.
Yeah.
So if you have a dog that has been in a cage for 6 hours and now good luck trying to trim their nails.
Yeah, and they're surrounded by other dogs who are probably dirty.
It is a crazy environment versus here, it's like, I get the pictures from our groomers, and they're like playing with the pups, or they're on the floor and they're giving them love.
Yep.
One of our
and your groomers get to like get outside for a few minutes too, bring the dog back in, get some fresh air as opposed to just being indoors all day. And then they get to drive with the windows down in the Colorado weather
in a cool van.
Yeah. So, That's awesome, man. That sounds like good. You guys hiring groomers? I might go get my grooming. You have to get certified. What do you?
So you don't.
Okay.
It is actually one of the low entry opportunities. We hire experienced groomers. Okay. So you need to have a couple years of experience. Okay. I know. Sorry. It's okay. But our clients, that's a differentiator, right? So when you do business with Zoomin Groomin, all of our groomers have more than 2 or 3 years of experience.
Okay.
So it's not going to be someone who's learning how to groom or has never done a doodle or different pups. So.
It's kind of crazy. I was thinking about, so you said 50% of your business is doodles. It's like, and most people get doodles because they have allergies. So it's like, in a way, like allergies, people having allergies has like made your business boom, right?
Well, funny story. So the reason we have Rosita is because I'm allergic to dogs.
Okay. Figured. Yeah.
Go figure. Are, yeah. So, and I think that was a concern of the business. It's like, how am I going to do? But once a van comes in, like obviously we sanitize in between every groom. So, and everything is clean at that point.
Yeah.
But that's actually why we got a Rosita, because it was a golden doodle, but again, they are a lot of work, a lot of maintenance, and again, people are busy. People don't have time to be brushing they have to brush our dogs every day.
Yeah.
If not, they get matted, and that's not healthy for the pups.
I know. I can barely brush my kids' hair. I have 2 girls, and I can barely brush their hair every day, much less a dog. If I had a dog, it would be neglected.
That's why the kids come in.
Yeah, there you go.
But then it's like convincing them. Yeah.
We do watch our, I don't know what kind of dog it is, but it's like kind of like a shepherd, has long hair, long straight hair. And our neighbor's dog comes over every now and then, and we watch it when they go out of town, and my kids they try to ride it, and play with it. So if we had a dog, I would feel bad for it. It would not be a good situation. So, cool. Well, tell me about like what's on the horizon. Sounds like you guys are expanding franchises. Are you guys looking for, tell me about like what's the near future for you guys hold?
Yeah, so our focus is really continuing opening locations. Again, so we have 13 more territories to award in Colorado. And more importantly is helping the franchisees be happy and successful. So 2 of the franchisees are expanding into 2 vans, because you can have as many vans as your territory fits. Okay. So I know my wife...
Sounds like most people have maybe 3, and they max out at 3 or 4?
Typically 3 or 4 is like... awesome, right? Because it's really good revenue, good earnings opportunity.
How long does it take to pay off one of those vans with the revenue?
So by month 1, my wife's bank account was already hitting positive.
Wow.
After being operating. So, but it also depends. What I tell franchisees is, I don't know how well you're going to listen. It's like kids, right?
Yeah.
You were a kid
If you
also.
do what we say,
Yeah.
you'll probably be fine.
But it's really about, and they're no one listens 100%, right? We didn't listen 100% to our parents. Your kids don't listen 100%, but the ones that listen the most are the most successful.
Okay.
So that's my job, right? It's how do I help the franchisee follow the system better, and the faster they learn, the faster they listen, the better they're going to do.
Okay.
So I think that's really our goal is, and then we're looking to potentially open in other markets. So warmer climate, a little vacation area.
Yeah.
So we're looking to continue expanding as an area representative, as a master franchise in other markets.
Cool.
So.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, tell people who are listening where they can find you. Where's the best place to reach out? They want to get their dog groomed. They want to learn more about becoming a franchisee, like how they reach out to you.
Yeah, so they can contact us through any social media channel. They can go to, for grooming their dogs, they can go to zoomingroomin.com, and they can find their local franchisee. So regardless of where they live in Colorado or anywhere in the nation, they can find a Zoomin Grooming near them. And if there's not a local Zoomin Grooming, guess what? You can go to discover.zoomingrooming.com. And you know what? If you're interested, if you're curious, they have an amazing discovery process. Okay. Again, owning your business is not for everybody, but learn. You can join calls with other franchisees like we did, have a call with the CEO and the founder, and really discover it's like, hey, is this an opportunity for me? And maybe, hey, improve your life and work with pups every day.
Yeah,
so.
That's a good deal. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Cool. I like to end each podcast with a few rapid fire fun questions. Just end on a light note. You good for that?
I'm ready.
Cool. All right. Best fast food hamburger.
Ooh. I love Five Guys.
Five Guys is good.
Yeah.
It's expensive though. Like I'm an In-N-Out guy. Five Guys probably does have the best hamburger though. All right. Do you have a favorite childhood memory?
Playing in Spain in the river. So
How old were you?
5 years old. Okay. I remember just basically traveling, but my grandparents used to have a house right next to the river.
Oh, cool.
So we basically got out of the house and spent the entire day in the river.
What part of Spain would you go to? Where's your mom?
So mainly in Salamanca, which is northwest of the capital.
Okay.
And then we lived in this little town. The summer house was in this little town that had like 100 houses back then.
Wow. Okay.
So really small town. Everybody knew us, like, oh, here comes the Puerto Ricans.
Who lived in the house during the year? Was it just empty?
Okay. Family members will come in. Okay. Now, like us, we basically go or my cousins.
You still have it?
Yeah, they still have it. So it's amazing seeing now, like our kids and other family members go through what we went through. That's
they play
amazing.
In the river?
They do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
we
so
still
cool.
probably still have the same toys as before, same canoes.
I love it.
So
cool. All right. So walk me through Alberto's perfect Saturday. What does it look like? What are you doing?
Perfect Saturday. Well, I have two girls, so they're 11 and 9. So we're either watching movies, playing with toys, they're now more into like, let's do TikTok videos. So basically doing crazy
Are they
TikTok
running your
videos.
social media?
One of them wants to. She is very, very eager to be the marketing manager. So she's the other intern. But
paid a little less than you.
Yeah. Hey, yeah. I need to check that. I don't know how much she gets paid. She might get paid more than me.
She brings more value, you know?
She is amazing. I would say she actually did a Canva video, and she did some presentations that we did for one of our newsletters. And all of a sudden, like, it's an amazing newsletter that we send to our clients, or our Zoomin Grooming clients. And I'm like, how did you learn this? Like, it took me like 2 years to like logging into Canva.
She can make videos. Tell her to give me a call.
Yeah. So just again, having fun. Cool. And I love spending time with my girls.
Love it. That's cool. Me too. You got any book recommendations? Maybe business books that you've read?
One, I am horrible reading books. But one of the networking that I read many years ago was Never Eat Alone.
Okay.
And it's really about maximizing every opportunity. I used to work in corporate. So it's like, instead of going on your own and eating on your own, go with someone, right? Yeah. Learn someone's story.
Use that 30 minutes as an opportunity.
You never know.
Yep.
Like the 7 degrees of separation is like, I believe in it.
Yeah.
So.
And it shrinks. It gets less if the more people you know, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I do this, right? It's just networking and getting to know people, hearing their stories. It's perfect. I was doing these anyways. I was like, let's just film these and give them to people.
Have some fun.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right. Last one. What's the best business advice that you've ever gotten?
As an employee or as a business owner?
As an owner, as an entrepreneur.
I would say when I worked in Radio Shack, and I still do this to this day, I had an amazing leader, Kelly Pfeiffer, who was an inspiration to me. And she did this getting to know you sheets. And basically it just has some basic information, personal, business. And I had no idea why I was filling it out. I was in my young 20s. I'm like, here you go. Yeah. Learn about me. And then she would turn hers, and then we will learn about her. And to this day, when we hire a groomer in my tax company, every franchise that we bring in, we do a getting to know you. And it's a great way of both personal and business. I am not a feeler. So I put everybody's birthdays in my calendar, right? And it's like a great way to celebrate.
Yeah.
What are their personal goals? What are their business goals? What are their favorite candy and pizza?
Yeah.
And again, my wife, who's amazing, she takes that getting to know you, and then she does snack baskets in their vans, because they're working hard. They're working all day, and sometimes they don't get to eat. And then they have their favorite snacks. So that was one of the best things that I learned from her. And again, 25, 30 years later, I am still doing that.
That's awesome.
So getting to know you, again, it's all about your team and your people.
Just being intentional.
Yes.
Being thoughtful.
Yeah. And I would say I go through part of my team, I go through getting to know yous once a year. And it's like either I ask them to refresh it, or it's like, what are some things that are important? Yeah. So for example, I had one of my marketing managers on the tax side that it was her birthday, and I'm like, I don't know what to get her. I looked up in there, and she's like a big like what are her favorite artists and other things. And I was like, I just sent her on Amazon like some of her favorite things. And she was like, that was the most memorable thing. And again, if I didn't get to know my team, it's sometimes those are the little things that matter the most. And I like when people do that to me, and we try to pay it forward. So
love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Alberto.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here.
It was great. Thank you for having me here.
Of course.